Thank you all for coming. I promised the mayor that we're going to start promptly. His time after this meeting is with other meetings. And since he is our first speaker, I would like to begin without further ado. But before that, two little things. This picture was taken this morning. This is an unplanned part of the presentation. This picture was taken this morning at 7:10 a.m. I was with my back to the monument, having placed this yellow ribbon on it a few minutes before, reading the names of the 101 hostages, some sadly killed, some alive, where Mike Russell, who I don't think is here, but was there this morning, took this picture, and then he sends me and said, you know that while you were reading the names, there was a ray of sunshine. As you can see, a little bit of the sunshine right there. Let's take that as we will the song that will finish this evening as a sign that there is hope. And I do believe that no matter how dire things are, there is hope. October 7 was the second worst terrorist attack in the democratic Western world. The largest one, of course, being 9/11. The American-Israeli connection is also, and I can't believe I didn't think about it until this morning, also unique in that in 1980, 52 American hostages were taken in Iran, and they were held captive for 444 days. That was a harbinger to the maniacal, tyrannical Iranian regime that is behind what happened on October 7. It is very important to me and to all of us that October 7 becomes something that we remember. It is the new and at the moment the important date, the worst atrocity in the history of the state of Israel. And I want to thank the Whaling Museum for hosting us. They usually are, when we're here, it's usually a sign of an important thing. It's a beautiful team that it's terrific to collaborate with you. I want to thank the Executive Committee of the Federation and President Manya Bark for supporting me as we were building this event. It was really important, and thank all of you for coming and showing that you care. I would like to invite our mayor, who is always there on Holocaust Memorial Day, and sadly, we've added another date to his calendar. Mayor Mitchell.
Well, thank you, Amir. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I appreciate all the work that you've put in to this, and it's so appropriate that we gather on this solemn day. This is the first anniversary, and it's been a long, long year, to say the least. I did want to just acknowledge, I do want to thank the Whaling Museum for opening its doors up as it always does, and to welcome our guests as well. Lieutenant Colonel Kozak, is he here? I think he was on the. You would be the one wearing the uniform, the one person in the room. Well, thank you. We appreciate your presence. I don't know if you know this. I know some people in this room do. That your presence here is a continuation of a tradition of senior IDF officers visiting New Bedford. I think there are some people in the audience who remember when General Ariel Sharon visited Tifereth, Israel, not long after the Six-Day War. All right, if I ask for hands of who remembers that, people are going to be betraying their age, so I won't ask, but I know they're in the room. But welcome, we appreciate your being here. And in general, I wanted to thank the Jewish Federation of Greater New Bedford for holding an event like this. As regrettable as it is that this event has to be held, it is altogether fitting and appropriate that we do that. So I really want to thank you, Amir, and your board for making that happen. I do regret that I have at the chair of school committee meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, so I cannot stay for the entire program, but I thought it was important for me to come out and express my thoughts on the occasion of the 1-year anniversary of the October 7 attacks. We have, it just to point out the obvious, but it must be uttered. What happened was unspeakable. It was deliberate. It was brutal. It was vicious. And none of it was by mistake. It was premeditated in the most heinous way that words can capture, and even more. And no, there was no legitimizing at all uh, what happened as a whatever, however it's framed in some circles, as a act of Palestinian resistance, as an act of defiance, as an act of patriotism. It was none of that. And I think it's unfortunate that we've come to a point where that has to be said, because it's almost, we are stating the obvious. But we're here to make sure that we do not forget that generations ahead must look at those videotapes. Moss made them quite deliberately, and there is an unmistakable historic record of what happened. We as Americans need, just as much as we must continue to inculcate generations who were born after 9/11 to understand what happened then. So too with 10/7. It laid a lot of things bare. After all, it gave lie to the idea that that we're living in through some period of tranquility or permanent state of tranquility in the Middle East. It put lie to the idea that a number of folks, the biggest threats in the Middle East, had got risen above their anti-Semitic ideologies. It put lie to the idea that somehow that Israel didn't have to be always in constant, had to be in a constant state of readiness, a constant state of maintaining its deterrence. It was all those things, and a lot's been said about that. A lot, of course, has happened. For me, what it has also laid bare is has put to lie the idea that anti-Semitism in the West is dead as well, and that is something we all have to take very, very seriously. It is striking to me, as it is, I'm sure, to everybody here, that what happened that day was, in many circles, including in some the polite confines of some of America's most elite universities, explained away. And that is something that we have to continue to take very seriously. Over the last year, we saw protests on college campuses that were inflamed, no doubt, by radical agitators, but there were also a whole lot of students from relatively normal backgrounds, enabled by a whole lot of adults on those campuses. And that had, to my mind, a very corrosive effect on the way that the United States has viewed what has played out. We have to make clear to our children that that's not something that is, as much as it's awful to watch the suffering of Palestinians and now Lebanese who are caught in the crossfire, or in effect human shields for the likes of Hamas and Hezbollah. As much as it is entirely appropriate to empathize with them and to sympathize with their plight, none of it justifies what happened on October 7th, and none of it justifies the explaining it away. None of it justifies the idea that somehow that wasn't fundamentally wrong. We have to carry that message forward, all of us. As many of you know, I went to Israel in April, and I've told you the story, Amir, where I was asked to lead a delegation of U.S. mayors over to Israel. And the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the American Jewish Committee had done this program 3 times prior to bring American mayors over, and there had been delegations, usually of 9 or 10 mayors, who'd go over. So as honored as I was to lead the U.S. delegation, turned out there was only 3 of us. There weren't too many takers this year, but I thought it was important for me to go. We went, of course, to spend a lot of time in Tel Aviv. We met with hostage families. We met with some academics. We met with a number of government officials, including some officers, IDF officers, who are in charge of some of the relief efforts in Gaza. And then we went to Jerusalem and saw the bucket list sites. But in between, we went down to the Gaza border and, and heard stories of an entire police department being assassinated all in one spot, of the chefs and kibbutzes being wiped out, and all kinds of stuff you couldn't even imagine. We went to this one town called Shahaha Negev, which is it refers to the name means the gateway to the Negev desert. Town of about 10,000, so it's it is about the size of a Cushnet. So we went there, and as the mayors had gone the year before, had gone and talked about what, all the mundane stuff that people in my line of work talk about, economic development and education and water and sewer and things, exciting topics like that, right? And the mayor there was also friendly with a lot of folks there and was very well liked by the US mayors, and had visited had done a reciprocal trip and so forth. Well, when we went there this year, the mayor wasn't there because on October 7th, he had been assassinated along with 79 other members of residents of this town of 10,000. Families wiped out, about 50 hostages taken. And, the stories are just mind-boggling to listen to. It's all so very real. But I asked the deputy mayor, who's effectively in charge there now, I said, so what is it you want? What is it that you want us, US mayors, to go back home and tell people? Like, what is it, what's the message you want for us to convey back home in the US? And her answer was very simple, and it sort of captures the whole thing, which was, we're not the bad guys. We are not the bad guys. And that is something that I've had conversations with young people about this, and about helping them understand the historic context for the state of Israel, and the historic and the eternal state of threat the Jewish people have been under, and why it is that Israel must aggressively defend itself, because there are those bad guys out there. But that is, to my mind, the root of it all, the nub of it all. We have to understand who's on the right side of history and who is not. And as much as there's a political element even in the U.S. that defines people in terms of victims and oppressors, it is altogether absurd for anybody with the vaguest familiarity with the history of Judaism in the world to cast the Jewish people as the oppressors. And so we have a truth problem. We have a truth problem with this, as well as in so many other facets of our lives right now. But we have to be altogether truth tellers. That's our job. If we want to deal with this, tell the truth. Tell the truth to anybody who would listen, and tell the truth to people who aren't even listening, but tell the truth. And that's why we're here tonight, to say it, to call it as it is. So that's my hope for all of us here today. I am thrilled that folks from my city have come out like this, Amir. This is Colonel, this is the New Bedford way. People come out and people understand in our city right from wrong. And so I have great confidence that we will do that here, and that we'll continue to set an example for everyone else. So I just want to close by saying, I know it's a new year. Wish everyone a happy new year. Hope you next week have an easy fast, because that's especially for someone like me, that's easy. It's much easier to say than to do, Amir, but someone with a rapacious appetite like my own, glad I don't have to go through it, but I wish you a wonderful week with your families. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I think that to take away the truth and to take away the deputy mayor of Shara Negev is profound. There was something that captures it. I think it was Golda Meir once said that if they lay down their weapons, there will be peace. But if we lay down our weapons, there will not be an Israel. And that is a different version of the same truth. Thank you to the mayor. as you know, he's already had to rush. We are now going to travel first with a presentation and later by Zoom to a group of artists who are up past midnight in Israel right now. On October 7, a year ago, a dear friend of theirs was killed while trying to rescue as many as he could. And they created a musical monument in his memory. Today was, of course, the 1-year anniversary of his death, and I'm sure that that will come up in both their conversation and possibly in the questions that you will be able to ask them. We're going to start with the song and the video of its creation and a little bit of a story about the person who lost his life a year ago, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
Reserve Master Sergeant Omri Micheli.
My soldiers are like my family. We are here. We are strong. You want to mess with us? Bring it on.
Omri and his men were ambushed.
During the fight, I took a bullet in my leg.
Even though he was bleeding badly, Omri continued fighting until he killed all the terrorists.
I couldn't hold my weapons any longer. I took cover, ripped open my pants. Then I realized that I have an open artery. I stopped the bleeding. The medic team that saved my life came, and I saw a flag in the helicopter. I took it and wrapped myself into it. It was like my shield. This flag isn't just a piece of fiber with color in it. It's very deep meaning for me and for everyone. It's symbolic. People are willing to lose their life for it.
Master Sergeant Omri Micheli received the Chief of Staff citation for his courage under fire.
Hi, my name is Alon Nadel. First of all, I'd like to thank the New Bedford community and Amir Cohen, a good friend of mine, for giving us the chance to talk about the 7th of October and to be a part of your memorial ceremony. This song that you're gonna hear is about Omri Micheli, who's a hero of his generation. The 7th of October, all the reserve people that had weapons in their house, as soon as they saw on TV what's going on, all the atrocities, they just took their weapons, few friends, and just drove over there. And we're talking about people from the age of 23 till 60 and above, just to go in with no knowledge of what's going on, no information, just to save people. Babies, young girls, old elderly people, and when they got there, some of them didn't get to the place because they were shot before, and some of them did get there, and they went in, and they saw that they stood before hundreds of nukhbot, of terrorists, and they still came in. They took families out, and they came back again to take more people out, with the knowledge that they would never, there's a good possibility that they won't get back because of the situation there. And the chaos was so big, nobody knew what's going on. This is the generation of Omri Micheli. This song, actually, Gal Almog wrote the lyrics. Gal is a good friend that I worked with in the past, and he wrote the lyrics in the eyes of a father through the eyes of his son. His son was the best friend of Omri Micheli. And he wrote this song, and you know, a song can take 2 or 3 weeks to write, or 2 or 3 months to write, or 2 or 3 years to write. This song came out like in 20 minutes because it's so emotionally accurate. Now, Gal is a songwriter.
Hello, and thank you, the New Bedford community. My name is Gal Almog. I'm a father of a son who is an officer in the Paratrooper Reconnaissance Unit. He's in reserve, and he was dispatched early in the morning of October 7th to Gaza to also save lives. While he was fighting in Gaza, his best friend and business associate, Omri Michaeli, was dispatched as well. I met Omri a couple of months before October 7th. He was on a boat that I joined sailing with my son and Omri. I didn't know Omri before, even though my son had a very, very close relationship with him and business association. But my son told me, Abba, that you have to meet this guy. And he told me about this guy, how incredibly nice he was, and the fact that he's a real hero. He was wounded twice before October 7th, and on the first time, which was on 2014, he was severely injured and was decorated by the Chief of Staff for bravery. It didn't stop him from going back to reserve service, maybe 50% of his civilian time. And he was injured again in Jenin a couple of months before the war, and he came back to fight. And of course, on October 7th, when the war broke, he did not hesitate. He broke into a house in Kibbutz Kfar Aza, where they believed they were hostages. And as he broke in, 3 terrorists shot him straight, and he was killed. I wasn't aware of the deep relationships that these 2 young men had. They were like twin brothers. We found out, even Omri's parents did not know how close they were until Omri was killed. And my son, who learned about Omri's death, was devastated for months and months. I don't know if he recovered from that loss. They were both very, very close friends and business partners, and that really created a big hole in his life. I wrote this song in the memory of Omri, but also to reflect the feeling of a friend, a comrade, who is my son.
My name is Eyal Almog, 34 years old, major in special reconnaissance units in the paratroopers. I'm a very close friend to Omri Michaeli, and he was my business partner in the last 10 years in a cyber security company.
What happened to you and to him on October 7th?
For me, I jumped from my home, went through the base to take my vest and my weapon, and drove to a moshav named Reim, near where the party was, to basically release the families and the hostages during the afternoon of October 7th. Omri, that day, he went to Kfar Aza with his unit. He was in a special elite unit called Duv Devan. He was doing military reserves there in the last 15 years on a weekly basis, actually. And he went to Kfar Aza and was killed there. We were actually supposed to go the same day at 8 in the morning to sail together.
What kind of a person was Omri?
He was, first of all, a good friend. He would always took care of me before I took care of him. He was a very smart person, very loving, very caring, very creative, very genuine. I don't know, we had something unique between us, something on the level of cosmic. So it's the first time that I had a business partner that I feel, and also a friend that I feel like I am him and he is me. We were like one person. It's a huge loss to have someone such as him, that I feel we were one, and continue the life without him.
How would you like people to remember Omri?
He never let anything bother him, so always smile, always say, what's the problem? Even if it's a big problem, well, what's the problem? Let's solve it. So I would say to myself, just look at things only on the positive way. Believe in what you want to achieve, because usually we create the reality ourselves. And I would say, focus on living and smiling.
Hi, my name is Gidi Yuval, and I am the singer in the song that you were about to hear. Now, you have to understand the mindset of most Israelis in that moment, in that morning, when these horrendous attacks happened. The most natural reaction of most people to this kind of situation is a kind of freezing. You are disoriented, you don't know what's going on, there's a lack of information, and you find yourself almost paralyzed with confusion. But there were those, Omri included, who didn't freeze. These are young people, people in the prime of their life, with their entire life ahead of them. They were not confused. They knew exactly what they needed to do. Regardless of the odds, regardless of the danger, they got their weapons, they put on their vest, they got into their vehicles, knowing the danger, knowing the numbers that they were up against, and they drove down and they did their utmost to try and save lives, to try and fend off these horrendous attacks. Many of them didn't come back. Omri is one of those that sprang into action and gave their lives to save others. I still get choked up when I think about it. When Alon asked me if I would sing the lyrics, of course I felt honored, and I felt that it was the very least that I could do, because as a civilian, as someone who isn't no longer a part of the reserve forces, there was always the frustration of, what can I do? How can I aid in the efforts to try and overcome this trauma? And I would like to thank Alon for the opportunity that he gave me to be a part of this production.
I'd like to read you in English the lyrics of the song that you will be hearing soon. 7 in the morning, you wake up. Loving arms refuse to let go. 7 in the morning, the vest, the rifle. To live now, the heart is yearning. You're in the car, racing south. The heart is jumping and the storm rages out. Wait for me a bit. Don't start without me. Gripping the weapon, eyes looking straight ahead. Omri, my dear brother, why did you leave me so soon? Why did you leave me so breathless? Brother, I can't stop thinking about you. We still have so much to accomplish. The heart refuses to accept. I did not have enough of your goodness. It's already known, you are so pale. Strong arms refuse to let go. They carry your beautiful body back to a narrow path with an end that's so black. You're in the car and a friend caresses you. Please hold on. He embraces you with a plea. On your lips, there's a smile that whispers without words. This is how I want to live. Omri, my dear brother, why did you leave me so soon? Why did you leave me so breathless? Brother, I can't stop thinking about you. We still have so much to accomplish. The heart refuses to accept. I did not have enough of your goodness.
שבע
בבוקר, הווסט העובר, להגיע מהר, כבר הלב מתעוור. אתה במכונית, דוהר לדרום, הלב מקבץ והשיער ירום. רק חכו לי מעט, אל תתחילו עדיין, לופתים את הנשק, משירים העיניים. אומרי אחי הטוב, מה כה מיהרת אותי לעזוב? למה השארת אותי בלי אוויר? אחי לא מפסיק לחשוב, יש לנו עוד הרבה להספיק. הלב מסרב, לא היה לו מספיק מהטוב שלך, לא היה לי מספיק. קר צהריים, אתה כה חיוור, זרועות חזקות מסרבות לשחרר, הן נושאות את גופך היפה לאחור, אל דרך צרה בסופה רק שחור. אתה במכונית וחבר מלטף, תחזיק מעמד, בתחינה הוא עוטף, על שפתיך חיוך שלוחש לי מנסות, שזה המשעול בו רצית לצעוד. אומרי אחי הטוב, מה כה מיהרת אותי לעזוב? למה השארת אותי בלי אוויר? אחי לא מפסיק לחשוב, יש לנו עוד הרבה להספיק. הלב מסרב, לא היה לו מספיק מהטוב שבך, לא היה לי מספיק מהטוב שבך, מהטוב שבך.
I suspect that for those of you who don't speak Hebrew, just the narrative that was explained to you by the lyricist must have set up with the music that followed. I can tell from the faces of those who do speak Hebrew and the tears that there is an added impact. We have with us via Zoom both Alon and Gal, and I want, obviously any one of you who would like to ask them questions will be able to ask them questions, but I want to start by asking Gal. Today was the first anniversary, and if you could speak of the genesis of writing these lyrics, particularly now that you have gone and experienced that day, which was profound and Not to mention that everybody who participated in ceremonies in Israel today, many of them did so under the threat and sometimes the active situation of additional rockets being fired at them. So Gal, if you can speak to that as our first question, maybe we can start. And thank you.
Thank you, Amir. And thank you, the New Bedford community. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you on this date, a very difficult date. We're very appreciative of the fact that Americans and Jews in America stand by Israel. These very difficult times. It's very important for us. Today started with the missile attacks in the morning while we were at the cemetery, and ended an hour ago with another missile attack on the Tel Aviv area where I live. It was the first anniversary of the death of Omri Michaeli. I was at the cemetery. There were hundreds of people who came to pay respect to him and his family. We became very close friends of his family. We see them all the time. It's hard to imagine what a family goes through. I was sitting next to the girlfriend of Omri. They were engaged to be married when he was killed. And there were a lot of tears, but also a lot of hope that life will continue and his memory would continue to be with us many years to come. Interestingly, I took my father to be with me at the cemetery today. My father is 90 years old. He's an ex-admiral, head of the Israeli Navy, and actually in 76, he went to study at the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, where I was at the local high school. So, you know, I assume you're not very far away from that place. My father is 90 years old, and I take him once a week to a ceramic class, and he built a statue of a turtle because Omri really liked turtles. And my father created that turtle, and we went and put the turtle on his grave. And that was a very moving moment for me and my family. All my family was there, and a more memorable day.
Thank you, Gal. By the way, is your brother's name Oz?
Yes.
I served with your brother in reserve in the 80s.
Oh, really?
I
I'll
just
tell you
realized
that.
this. When you made the connection to your father, who was a general, I remembered he was an intelligence officer in the reserve unit where I was an operations officer. So tell
right,
Oz
that's
that hi,
amazing.
if he still remembers. Last time I saw your brother was 1987, maybe. In any event, this is just how the world is a small place. I think we lost Alon. Any chance we can do the connection? And if not, I'm going to ask people who have questions for Gal. Anybody in the audience? Yes, Judy. Oh, you have over there behind you.
So people at home.
It's better so
Oh.
that everybody can hear it.
Okay. I recently, where I live, there was a woman who came from that whole area, in a kibbutz. I don't remember the name of the kibbutz, but the kibbutz was burnt down and it's now considered a red zone, which means no one can be there. And through the kindness of everyone in other places, they have gotten places to live and a lot of outreach, a lot of kindness. So I would like to ask you, on October 7th, how many, excuse me, I don't know if it's the right word, kibbutzes were destroyed and are considered red zone where they cannot go back yet until it's totally rebuilt?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but it's dozens and dozens of kibbutzim. Not only that they were burned down, but also many of them were evacuated, and 150,000 Israeli had to live in other places, also from the northern part of Israel, where they are still away from their homes. But it will take years before they can go back and rebuild their communities. Not everyone will be able emotionally to go back and live in the places where they live, but dozens of kibbutzim and moshavim and municipalities and so forth.
Thank you, Gal. I see that Alon is with us. Alon, I had a question for you that may lead to others wanting to ask you. This is a different kind of a song that is a challenge. I'm familiar with some of the work that you've done in the past. If you can speak on how this is a different process in terms of composing to pre-existing lyrics and the significance and the symbolism that comes with this, how is that a challenge? And also you mentioned in the video that some song takes 2 to 3 weeks or months or years, and this one was completed in 20 minutes. If you can touch upon that. And now that you've seen it, and today's the anniversary, has that made a different impact? Is there a different perspective now that a year has gone?
Well, you know, can you hear me, by the way?
Yes,
Okay.
very well.
You know, I see all the programs in Israel now, and you see so many heroes, so many boys like Omri Michaeli. You know, it's just unbelievable. This generation is really unbelievable, and boy, I tell you, we are lucky. We're very lucky to have these kind of people backing us. I worked with Gal on his previous project, so I know Gal. And you know, when I work with him, always his writing is, for me, is touching. And you know, there's it's either you have it or you don't have it. And I think between me and there's like a connection without speech. The music just goes with the lyrics, and I never felt any barriers or like any difficulties to write music to his lyrics, because he's, I think we feel the same, and we have like small talks about everything. You know, he helps me a lot in thinking about, he knows a lot about the army, and we sit and talk politics and you know, army stuff and what's the situation. So once you get emotionally attached to each other, the music just comes out. And this text, and he told me the story because I also didn't know Omri. And he told me the story, and even through him, we had like a meal together. He made dinner with Omri's parents, and I got to, you know, to be with them, and to talk with them, and to, you know, it was such an experience. So we connected in such a deep way that the music is just flowing out with Gal and his lyrics. So this song, like I said, it came out in 20 minutes because you have to understand that in this era, we are all emotionally very The anxiety is very high, and it just came out.
Thank you for that. I want to see if anybody in the audience has a question for Alon. Yes, Marcia.
I realize that Israelis are unfortunately used to this constant uncertainty. My question is, one of you, I can't remember which, but mentioned that people, their initial reaction is normally to freeze. Well, all these survivors that are there in Israel, are they still in that mode of freezing? How do you explain what happened to children that they're not afraid to go outside and play?
First of all, children are afraid. I just went down to the shelter with in my building. There's children and babies. It's not easy. We just tell them the truth. They know everything. Like we knew, in 6-day wars on Yom Kippur, we knew everything. We were kids. We saw the streets emptying up. All the like the fathers went out. We knew. They know what's going on. They see on TV. It's part of our life here. I forgot what your first question was. About freezing, about the people freezing. The freezing is like is the first shock when you see everything happening. But then what happened a few days later, there was like an uprising of all the people, much before the government did. People went out and helped each other in a way that, it was overwhelming, so there's a shock, there was a freeze, there was these heroes, and then everybody came and helped each other. This is what happened in the first week.
Let me share with you, on a personal perspective. Myself, like many Israelis, ask themselves what they can do to help the people who suffer the most. And I'm a high-tech entrepreneur by profession, but also a musician. And me and my wife created this project that distributed guitars to people who were evacuated from their homes. And we brought guitar teachers to teach them guitars at their hotels, both in the south and in the north. And today we have close to 600 students who continue to learn guitar, and that was part of the way to deal with traumas. And music is a healing tool for people. We had people who were remember that the biggest trauma we have now in Israel, that we have 101 hostages, 50% perhaps are alive in Gaza, and until that is resolved, there will be no peace to anyone. And it's a country in a post-traumatic situation, and we found that music is a very, very strong power to allow people, at least partly, to heal their pains and to come back to their lives.
Let me add something. I think just to show you that, it was all over. I think David Broza. David Broza, the singer. So the second day he was in the country, and from the second day we made, I think, 100 shows to the units all over in Gaza, in the north, in the south, wherever. We just went, and we don't have a rifle, but we have guitars, and we went and we sang to the people. Everybody, people made food, people sang, people bought the cars. Like Gal said, Gal took care of tens and hundreds of people just playing in the hotels, guitar He gave them guitar, and this is the atmosphere till today. That's what's happening.
Alon, just so that you know, in this very auditorium where we are seated right now, David Boza was here.
Okay.
He played here, and on the screen where everybody is watching you, the East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem documentary that you were a part of had played for us. There are many people in this auditorium right now who were there on the night. And when we conclude the evening after our next speaker, David is closing our event with the Tov, which there could not be a better signature to an event of hope.
All right.
So that was actually just karma, and kind of like the fact that I just realized that I served
Wow.
with Gal's brother and that sort of thing. Anybody else with questions for our artists and creators? I know it's after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Amir, we have one more.
Oh, there is. Oh, sorry, I didn't see.
Maybe this will be distributed afterwards, but is there a name to the organization that you have for the guitar distribution and education?
Yes, it's called Otef Gitara. Otef Gitara. I think Amir can.
I will. Yeah. Well, she's seated with two Hebrew speakers who are going to do a really good job at explaining that. So that's excellent. Thank you. It is 1:21 a.m. in Israel. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating and sharing this amazing musical monument and all of these stories. I want to continue. We have with us I am just realizing the Navy connection that Gal has. We have with us here Itai Chazak. For those of you who don't know, Chazak means strong, which is also karma. Itai is at the Navy War College in Newport, and he will share with us what October 7th, a year ago, was for him. I feel very fortunate that we are able to bring somebody of his caliber and magnitude and important in stature to be here with us in person. He was a speaker for FIDF and met a friend of mine who 1,000 years ago served in the Navy, and one thing led to another. And we are fortunate that he has agreed to come here with his lovely wife, who is very pregnant and will have an American citizen on that. They'll have an American citizen on their hand in the next few weeks. Congratulations for that. Without further ado, Itai. Lieutenant Colonel Itai Chazak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Commander Itai Chazak. Commander is a Lieutenant Colonel in the Navy. First of all, it's an honor for me to be here. So, Amir, thank you, and I appreciate the invitation. So, who am I? Sorry. As I said, my name is Itai. I'm 35 years old. I live in Shoam. Shoam is a small city near the city of Tel Aviv. It's in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, near the Ben Gurion airport. I'm married to Chen. She is here with us today. And I arrived to the US 2 months ago to study in a one-year international program in the Naval War College in Newport. It's a class of 41 international officers from 41 nations. It's a unique experience. Today, I won't tell you horror stories. It's not that I don't have, sorry, but I choose to share the experience from October 7th and the war, and to talk about the warrior spirit, mastering your own fate. Our story begins 2 years ago, when I became the commander of a SAR 6 Corvette, SAR 6 class Corvette. SAR 6, it's the newest and the most advanced ship of the Israeli Navy. Sorry. It was so new that I was the first operational commander of the first ship, INS Magen. INS means Israeli Navy ship, Magen means shield, and we became fully operational only 2 months before the war started.
This is the SAR-6 class corvette, the Israeli Navy's newest, tech-savviest, most advanced missile ship yet. Equipped with the latest operational systems, this ship can defend Israel from incoming threats from air, land, or sea. Weighing in at 2,000 tons and spanning the length of a 25-story building, the SAR-6 is dedicated to protecting Israel's natural gas reserves. The ship is built to be at sea 2,000 hours a year for 30 years. That's 2,500 days at sea, which is more days than a child spends in school. The SAR-6 will be the most operationally advanced of its kind, with high trajectory systems and shore-to-shore missile defense systems, including the Naval Dome, the Iron Dome of the sea. The ship is also able to carry and serve as a launch pad for helicopters that weigh about 23,000 pounds, roughly 6 cars. The SAR-6 will brave Israel's seas and protect its waters from any enemy threat.
On the last weekend of Sukkot, I was on a vacation in the Dead Sea with my wife. We stayed in a tent, at 6:32, only 3 minutes after the attack started, my operational officer, he called me and he told me that Hamas started to shoot some rockets on the cities in the southern part of Israel. Unfortunately, in that time, it happens from time to time that Hamas attack with the rockets. Sorry. And that I need to call my crew to bring them back to the ship and go out to sea for a mission. Of course, I took it very seriously, but honestly, I didn't understand the whole picture and the fact that the war started. About 30 minutes after we start driving back home, a friend sent me this picture. It's a picture of terrorists in the middle of the city of Sderot. You can see the terrorist. That's when I realized it was a whole different story. I gathered my crew and we went out to sea. It took us two and a half hours. It may sound like a lot of time, but together, 120 sailors from all around the country to prepare the ship and to went out to sea. It's supposed to take us 10 hours, and it took us an hour and a half. We were the first ship to leave the port and headed to Gaza. We got our missions and information on our way. Here you can see, this is Haifa, this is our base, this is Gaza in the southern part of the Israeli shore. When we got there, we started on defending mission. We defended the strategic assets and the gas platform and attacked the terrorists to prevent them from getting into the area of Israel through the sea. This is the first time we attacked the terrorist bases with our gun. As you can see, that's how we prevent the terrorists to move through the sea to the Israeli coast. In the last picture, we attacked divers, Hamas divers, who tried to get in through the sea to attack the shore of Israel. Sorry. In the Navy, during missions, we are not connected to the outside world. We don't have cell phones, we don't have social media. So from 9:30 that morning, from 9:30 that day, we didn't see the whole videos and we didn't hear anything from our family and friends. Some of my sailors knew people who were kidnapped or died, and people that have been in the Nova Music Festival. One of my sailors, he was on the Nova Festival and he left 2 hours before the attack started. The first time we got back to the port to resupply was 3 weeks after October 7th. That was the first time I talked to my wife and my sailors explored the situation. Of course, I updated them during the mission, but that was the first time they realized the whole story and got the complete information. It lasted less than 3 hours because after 3 hours, we went back to sea to our mission. We carry out most of our missions in Gaza in the first 2 months. Of course, I can't share everything. Still, I can say that we perform these defensive missions, such as protecting the strategic assets, the gas platform, and the power stations. From Hamas' ongoing attempts to hit them with diverse missiles, rockets, drones, UAVs, and even underwater unmanned vessels. We also carried out offensive tasks, such as attacking terrorist bases and only the terrorists, although they put their bases in the middle of a civilian area, intelligence operation, and special forces operations. After 2 months, we faced a new challenge, the Houthis from Yemen. The Houthis started to attack Israel with missiles, drones, rockets. The Houthis are a significant problem for Israel, but also for the entire world because of their strategic location here near the Bab el-Mandeb stairs. 40% of the maritime traffic pass through that stairs. That's why the chief of staff sent his most advanced ship to fight the Houthis as part of the coalition with American Navy, British Navy, and other nations. That was the first time in history that SAR 6 crossed the Suez Canal to the Red Sea. This is Israel. We need to cross the Suez Canal to move to the to the Red Sea. In the Red Sea, we took part in a classified operations against the Houthis and other allies of Iran. We also took part in a critical mission of defending the southern city from the Houthis' attack. Here, we can see a photo a tourist took from the shore of Eilat. This is a SAR 6, and this is an Iron Dome interceptor who attacked a drone that tried to attack a hotel in Eilat. After 5 months in the Red Sea, we headed back to the Mediterranean Sea for our next mission, protecting the northern border and preparing to fight against Hezbollah. The Navy plays a significant part in the fighting on the northern border, and most of it are classified. I would want to talk about some key points. All right. I would want to talk about some key points. First, we didn't want that war. We didn't prepare ourselves for a long war. In our drills, a war takes 3 weeks, primarily because of the resilience of the home front. We have been fighting for a year already, and we can't see the end. That requires patience and toughness. It also requires involved the brotherhood of soldiers. My ship was designed to sail 800 hours a year. We passed that number after a month and a half in the war, and in the last year, we sailed more than 4,000 hours since the war started. Some of my sailors got a terrible announcement during missions about their friends, family, or family members who died. In an operation in the Red Sea, I got a message about a good friend of mine who died in a battle. He was a reserve soldier. Only the importance of the mission and my fantastic crew helped me stay on my feet. Second, we are learning every day, especially from mistakes. October 7th was a disaster that happened because we thought we knew exactly what the enemy would do and when. Since that day, we have been improving ourselves, thinking outside the box to be more prepared and simply better. Third, the US Navy Admiral McRaven finished his famous speech, who knows, start by making your bed, with the command, if you want to change the world, never ever give up. And I promise you today, we would never ever give up. Why? Because we don't have another option. Sorry. And because the generation we all, including me, thought that they cared only about themselves and their iPhone, turned out to be the generation of victory, a generation of lions, a generation who refused to leave the ship for their best friend funeral, that risked their life every day, and the most important, a generation that wakes up every morning, every day with a smile, because that's the only way to keep going. They are my heroes. And in the end, we still have 101 hostages in Gaza, and there is nothing more important than bringing them back home now. Thank you.
I think that the final words, which were the first few words we started with this morning about the hostages, tell me and tell us where our priorities are and should be. I see it on Itai's face. I see it on Itai's family, and I see it on all of you. It is really a privilege to have someone with that knowledge and courage, and now, sadly, so much experience in this battle. I have a feeling that some of you might have a few questions for Itai, and raise your hand if you do. Beers has additional microphones. Okay.
Your service, but quick question, going through Egypt through the Suez Canal, and is that a normal thing for the Israeli Navy, or is this unusual?
Yes, it's not normal, but it can happen. The Egyptian, they have to let us pass because it's Egyptian water, but they have to let every navy to pass. It's a challenge during a war, terror attacks. There's a Egyptian officer who's coming to my bridge command, and he wasn't so nice. But we passed, and everything was okay. It's not something that happened all the time, but we can do it.
Yeah, I question. I know with the Houthis, I understand they were stopping a lot of shipping in a lot of the areas, and people were staying away. Aren't there any kind of international treaties that would get other nations involved in stopping that?
There is one of the reasons it sent me to the Red Sea. It's to say to the American that if they won't act, we act. And they gathered some nations. It's called CMF. But the problem is that they are attacking only if they see like a missile or a soldier. They don't attack the headquarters of the Houthis, because the problem is that Yemen is a very poor country, and the port of Hodeidah, the main port of the Houthis, he brings a lot of humanitarian supply. So the American and the international community, they are in a problem because they want to attack the Houthis, but they don't want to attack the Yemens. But it's a huge problem. They attacked American warship 3 days ago. They shoot ballistic missile 2 hours ago to Tel Aviv, 2 hours ago to Tel Aviv. My parents, they went into the shelter as Gal and everyone. And they are attacking several ships every week, but it's not a political statement. But the international community, they are not doing enough to stop it. The prices of everything, most of the things that arrive from China, rise because of that, because this is the way to Europe. When I cross the Suez Canal back to the Mediterranean Sea, usually we see like 200 or 300 ships a day. In that day, we were 8. The Egyptian economy collapsed because of the Houthis. It's an international problem. They are saying that they are attacking only Israeli ships, but they are attacking everyone because there is no Israeli ships. Like SIM is not longer exists, so it's an international ships.
Yeah, this is working. So I don't have a question. I only have add something. What Amir said before, that somehow Israelis are all connected. So I'm very sad today, since actually I'm sad the same way since a year ago, because this is on top of my being a child of Holocaust survivors, so has a complete different meaning for my wife and me than most of the other people. But then also I see a hope in us, because when I watch your ship, so proud of seeing SAR 6 or SAR 6, because I was in the Red Sea, more or less same location where you showed the picture, when we heard the news that the Cherbourg boats were stolen. Most people don't know what that is, so you can explain it to them. That was the beginning of us getting to the SAR.
It's the first Israeli-made ships that we stole.
That was during the 6-day war.
The Cherbourg ships, they are the first Israeli missile ships. We stole them from France because of the embargo, like the embargo they're starting now. So we stole them in the middle of the night in December, in the Christmas. It's the Israeli chutzpah. This is the Cherbourg.
I think that it's possible that the parent or the grandparent or the person who sold Hezbollah, the beepers and the walkie-talkies, might have done the Cherbourg deal, and how they got out of that port right in time. It's like the movies before the hurricane barrier closed, they get out.
Designs after the French put the embargo on us. At that time, I worked at the Israeli aircraft industry. Giva Mizvadot. The suitcases got here. There's 20 suitcases full of designs. So the French
and now we are making beepers. Okay.
Any other questions from others? I'm going to ask one question, and that is just so that, you may get dinner invitations and welcoming to this community from now on. So before you go, will you share a little bit of what's ahead for you in your time in the United States, and perhaps what is to be expected once you get back to Israel, whenever that is?
Okay. We will be, as I said, we will be for 11 months as part of the international program. We are expecting. So in a month from now, I'll be like, I'll be all dedicated to my family. But I'm part of the international program to explore other places, and they will explore me. Usually we are sending 2 officers, and this year we sent 3 because of the importance of talking. Most of my class are Arabs from Tunisia, Algeria, Saudi Arabia. I don't have, but my friend have an officer from Lebanon. So it's a unique experience for him especially. And after I'll go back to Israel, I'll continue as a naval officer. I'm supposed to get a promotion. I'll be like a commander of several ships before I'll get my next rank. I'm here to educate myself and to learn about the science of war in the target to be a high-rank officer in the Israeli Navy.
Well, thank you for that. I have a feeling you're gonna get about 80 suggestions for names. I don't know if you know if it's boys and girls, but I know that Andre and you can count on them to invite you to gallery openings and also name suggestions. A few other people, the name come to mind. It has been an honor to host you at our community. I am speaking on behalf of everybody here and everybody online. I would like to mention when I speak online, as you know, there were many communities devastated by the storm in the past few weeks. I don't know how many have participated, but I have opened up this program online to the Augusta, Georgia Jewish community. Their program was canceled, obviously, because they didn't have a place to hold it and the means with which to hold it. So hopefully those in that community who were seeking a program like this one were able to join us through Zoom. I will probably find out from the executive director of that federation. So thanks to them. Thanks to everybody else who joined us online. I want to thank Gal and Alon, who probably went to sleep. It's 2 a.m. I again want to thank. There he is. Okay. I should have known. I should have known. I want to thank the Whaling Museum for being the best hosts. Many of you have been here at events at the Whaling Museum, and it's always top notch. The mayor for attending and speaking to us, and more than anything, to each and every one of you. I hope that you can carry this with you to your families, to your friends, to the stories that you tell. This program is being recorded. And before we conclude with a song of hope, the link to this recording will be live in the bulletin and on the Federation website later this week, which will allow any of you, when you tell the stories, if you like them, to send them the links so that anybody can see this, parts of it, all of it, and so on. We will conclude with what has become my personal favorite, but a lot of people's favorite song for peace and hope. This is a song that was written when Egyptian President Anwar Sadat came to Israel and captured the spirit of no matter how bad things are, there is always hope. When Alon spoke of the new generation that showed up, that's the hope. David, who many of you remember, was standing right here when he sang that song, sent us this important message, and let's listen to him. Thank you.
Hello, New Bedford, Connecticut. I'm David Broza. And on this day, October 7th, in commemoration of the horrors of what unfolded a year ago, and all the days that followed and have been following, I can't say things have gotten better. And I do sing the song, Yeh Tov, things will be better. But we must keep believing and searching for the light, for the answers. And we must keep hope, just hopeful. which is why I'd like to sing a part of that song just to bring that, kindle that spirit and the feelings that music can invigorate and bring and remind us of the goodness and that things will be better. יהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשבע, אז הלילה, הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. As the concluding verse of that song, written over 40 years ago, to be exact, 46 years ago. I'm looking out the window and it makes me very sad. I'm looking out the window to see if all this is real. And that we shall live together one day, the lion and the lamb. But until then, don't let your hand go from mine. We stay together. אני מביט מהחלון לראות אם כל זה אמיתי. אני מביט מהחלון וממלמל את תפילתי. עוד נגור זאב עם כבש ונמר ירבץ צמדי, אך בינתיים אל תוציאי את ידך מכף ידי. כי יהיה טוב, אוי יהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשבע. אז הלילה, הלילה, כך אני נשאר. אני מביט מהחלום, אולי מגיע, מגיע, מגיע יום חדש.
Thank you again to all of you. You know that since David was here a few years ago, he always presents himself as a friend of New Bedford. Nancy Spielberg does the same, and the late Ed Asner also did. So I think we've created a few special moments. I hope that this moment, despite the circumstances, is added to that library of important moments. We have coffee, tea, water, cookies, brownies just outside, as we call it, under the whales. I look forward to speaking with you outside, and thanks again for coming. Thank you.